What do you think, Mag, about the elephant in the room? So, here's my elephant. There is an elephant in the room, isn't there? And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is a different type of setting, obviously, if you guys have been following us. And it's also a very special episode to me because I'm going to discuss the elephant in the room and what it means to me. It's a very personal story. It's a very raw, real, but it's who I've become, and I couldn't be prouder. And so I think I need to share. But it starts out, I don't know when, if it was before COVID, after COVID, somewhere around there, I got a feeling inside of me. And that feeling was something I can't really explain, but I knew I was, to sound silly, put on this earth for more than just what I was doing. And I didn't know what it was. I had been, at that time, a salon owner for probably, 8 years. And then I was very happy. COVID hit. That was a struggle for everyone. And I just kept listening to that in the back of my head. And I just didn't really know what that meant. And why me? How do I think that I am that important to be something better than what I already was? And I blame it on my grandma Margie because she has told me from ever since that I can even remember that I was her precious little angel, and anything that I wanted to do, that I could do it, and I would always be the best at it, or something like that. But she always gave me so much courage. And I don't know, I guess growing up with my two brothers and six, seven, eight, yes, six older boy cousins in a small town, I couldn't date anyone because they were all, either I was related to them or I had 8 bodyguards. But I've always been the type of person that if I believe in something, I just go for it. Okay, so I had this feeling that I was meant to do something else, but I didn't really know what it was. I figured it had something to do with the salon world because that's where my passion was at, but it didn't really start until after COVID and when we were hitting our 10-year mark, because my goal always was, if I am still here after 10 years, because I had to sign a 10-year lease. And who signed a 10-year lease, right? I did. And wow, that seemed so far. And I blinked, and here we are. And I'm like, if I saw my salon going strong for 10 years, then I'm going to buy a building. And so instantly, there's not very many commercial buildings, and I have a really good realtor friend. And so we started looking like year 5. So I have looked at so many different buildings, and I had so many different ideas. And every single one of them to this day is still really good. There were different things that led me to a different path. And I just went with it and followed through. Okay, it just isn't time yet. And fast forward to about last May, not this May we just had, because this is in August, but the following May, so May of 2024, I found a building that I wanted, that I had been looking at previous, and knew we were going to have to downsize, but we had a plan and I felt good about it. We went to the bank, we got our money, and we had this huge secret, but all the girls, everybody at the salon was just going to be so excited. It was going to be like the best thing ever. I started doing some different things at the salon because in my mind, I was like, you know what? We're not going to be here. They don't know. And so there's certain things that I was doing just to get an idea of what I wanted to take to the new place. But nobody knew that because it was something that I couldn't discuss. Fast forward, the building fell through. And I was very sad, mad. I felt betrayed. I was hurt. I was at the risk of losing my team. I didn't know what to do. In one day, all of this had blown up. And I just woke up and just dealt with it. The girls at the salon reassured me that they were going to stay with me and that we were going to get through this. So when I say the girls are loyal, it's so much more than that. And this only begins my story. So I lost the building to somebody that I trusted, and the betrayal I felt was something I had never felt before. And I realized that everybody's on your team. Business is business. She did what she had to do for her family. And I knew that it was time for me to do what I had to do. So Brad and I put our heads together, and I said, I really want to bring this head spa in. Since we're going to stay in a bigger spot, I really want to. So we went to Dallas. We did all that. But it was a year ago this weekend that I bought the head spa. And I bring it back home, and everybody's excited. We figure out where we're going to put it and how we're going to do everything. And then October 9th happened, and my world changed. That betrayal didn't even come close to the pain that I felt when I lost my sister-in-law. The reason why it is so important for me to tell my story is because at that moment of loss, I walked away from the salon team that stayed beside me, from all my clients that I had for 30 years, because I couldn't face the day. Teresa was so much more than just my sister-in-law. She was my best friend. She was my brother's wife. They've been together for, oh gosh, I don't even know, 32 years. To say Teresa's death rocked me to my core is an understatement. And I did the only thing that I knew how to do. And it was nothing. I did nothing. I knew my clients would understand. I knew the girls at work would understand. So I walked away. I walked away from everyone. And the feeling that I had, knowing that I didn't have to get up in the morning and get ready and face people, was so calming to me. Because all I wanted to do was just be sad. I didn't know any other way. What I didn't know is I was falling into a very dark, deep depression. And that is not me, if anybody knows me. And it's not that I didn't care, but looking back, I guess it's not, it was just easier to go to sleep and just not deal with it, really. When I took the leave of absence, it was not talked about with Brad. It wasn't discussed with any of the girls. And honestly, I didn't even know I was going to do it until I did it. I walked into work and I started doing someone's nails and I had to turn around and walk out. So looking back, I have had so much time alone and with my thoughts to get to where I am today. Back to that calling, I guess, that I was put on here to do something more than what I was already doing. I thought about that a lot, and I just was like, why am I so different? Until life happened, which is what I'll get into, but I feel like my story started at a really young age. I was 19 when my father passed away of a massive heart attack at 46. I was at home and he had just came downstairs, complained of heartburn. And Mom and I were watching Beavis and Butthead. And I remember him going, pacing, saying he had heartburn, and he was like throwing terms. And Mom said, honey, are you okay? Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. Anyways, we went to bed, and I went to bed, and about 2 hours later, I am awoken by a scream that I will never forget from my mom. And it's something that I'll just never forget that. And when I finally realized what was happening, because within minutes we had friends and family and the whole fire department and the whole atomic hearing, I ran out of the house and I left. And then my brother Eric came home because he had hurt, and he storms out and leaves. I found myself at the baseball field, which for those that know me, it's now the Rick Miller Memorial Baseball Field. I'm not sure where Eric went. And when I finally got home that morning, Michael was there with Mom. And he, from the moment Dad died, stepped up and was the man of the house. Eric and I are too much alike. We are both very dramatic. We're just both very dramatic and very high tense, high energy, spazzes, I guess maybe some people want to call us. I don't know. Michael is very calm. I didn't know then, but that was the beginning of Michael being the rock of our family. Let's fast forward 21 years. My mom was putting to rest her second husband, who suffered from cancer, and he passed away in her home. I was there. It was a very sad moment. Again, my mom has never been the same since Timo passed. I've realized growing up that my mom loved my father. And if he would not have passed, she still would have been with him to this day. Timo brought a different side of Mom out, and I will forever be thankful for that. So when he passed, that was very hard. That was right around the time that I was opening the salon and getting everything ready, and he was able to see it, but he never got to enjoy it. Fast forward to actually 4 years ago. I called mom on my way home from work like I normally do. This was on July 29th. And we hung up. And she instantly called me back. And I thought, oh my God, what? Really, Mom? We just talked. And she said, Megan, your brother just had an attack. They're taking him to Upper right now. So I called Brad, and I head there. He heads there. The drive from Finley to Upper was the longest ever. And I thought, God cannot be doing this again to us. He can't do this. But it did. It happened. I walked in, and he was, I guess, still with us, but not. And we all gathered around in the little waiting room until the doctor came and told us that he had done everything and that Eric was gone. He too died of a massive heart attack at the age of 53. To watch my mom lose a son was very hard. Eric and I never always saw eye to eye. And we were too much alike. There was a time in our adult life that we didn't even talk to each other. Somehow, in the last, probably before I passed, 5 years, we had a good 5 years with him. We were together every weekend. Brad got to know him. I cannot be any more thankful that I had that time with Eric. Because for the most of the time from owning the salon, from the minute I owned the salon until probably up to 5 years into it, he wasn't even part of my life. So to have him back was great. That was hard. That was a really hard pill to swallow. We now clearly have heart issues in our family. The one and only good thing that came out of that is they found out that Eric was a carrier of the long QT syndrome, which is what my niece has. And she had talked to him the night before and said, Dad, they found new markers, whatever. Anyways, that's a whole other podcast. Seriously. And they found out that my brother also is a carrier. And so with that, they tested his son, Ricky McCain. And they found out has long QT syndrome. And he has a pacemaker. And he has little buddy Jackson. He has it, and so does Kate. And honestly, not that I'm glad that what happened to Eric happened, but if we can only think of good things from our tragedies, that's one of them. We would have never known that. Life was different, just like with our losses previous. You just learn how to do things different and hold on to the memories. That's all you can do. But the one that really knocked me to the ground was Teresa. I don't even know what kind of words to use or to describe. And I'm actually going to just start from the night it happened. My brother, let me see how this was. Okay, my mom was living in Florida, and Teresa and her father flew down on Saturday for the winter. And then my brother, Michael, came and got there on Sunday. As soon as he got there, they had made the decision, which there had been talk on what to do, that everybody had to evacuate. Everyone had to get out of there because I don't even remember what hurricane it was. And so as soon as Michael got there, they loaded everything up and they headed out. Must have been Sunday afternoon. They're on their way home. And they show up to my house around 11 o'clock that night. And they were tired and lots of stories. So if you've ever visited our house, the first place you go is to the garage because that's where you drink beer and you just relax. So we are sitting out there with Mom and Michael and Teresa and Brad, and we're just hearing about all the different stories on the way, their drive here and everything. And it got to be about 1:30, and I had to be at work the next day. And Michael was like, Teresa, you got to be tired. And she's like, I am. So Mom and I took her into a room and made sure she had like her sheets and everything. And she was like, wait a minute. Do you have some pizza? Which is funny. So I got her some pizza and we went in there and she was fine. I got up at 7:30. I was at work by 9. My appointments take about 45 minutes. So about 9:45, I picked up the phone and I had probably 7 missed calls from Brad and finally a text that says, you need to call home. And I knew, obviously, something was wrong. So when I called him, he was like, you need to get home. And I'm like, what is going on? And you just need to come home. And I said, do not do this to me. I am not driving all the way home like I did with Harry, not knowing. Who is it? Who is it? And he said, it's Teresa. And I said, oh my God, did she fall? And he said, you just need to get home. And I said, is she okay? Did she fall? He said, you need to get home. And when I turned the corner, and I prepared myself because that's just the way it goes, right? And when I turned the corner and I saw the squad and the cops and the sheriff, I thought, here we go again. But why? It's not hard. You don't die from Parkinson's. And I pull into the drive. And Michael meets me. And he says, we lost her. And I said, what do you mean we lost her? And then he just explained that when he woke up, she had been lost. Today, I can look at that and be so thankful that she wasn't in any pain. I can be so thankful that God has protected her and took all of her pain away. And I can also be thankful that she was home. That she was in my house. But does it scare me? I go closer to her. But at the time I couldn't see any of that. I was so mad. I was so mad. What are you effing kidding me? Like, she's fought 8 years of this. She's done everything she can possibly do. And she's gone like that. And it just, It rocked me. It put me in a really dark place. And I don't know if it's because of all the other deaths and losses that I had and I never really grieved properly, which I don't even know what that means properly. But it was a lot. It was a lot on top of what I had just gone through and actually was still going through. I still was a salon owner. I still was a mom. I still was a wife. I still was a friend. And I lacked all of them. I did. But you know what? I had an excuse, right? I had an excuse. Everybody just felt bad. She's going through a bad time. And I was in a very deep place. And it's still not obviously easy. It's very hard. And I guess that's why I want to get on here and tell my story. Because I know so many people have it way worse in their story. But I'm not here to compete, right? I'm not here to be like, this is what I went through, match that. Because I don't wish this on anyone. I'm here, I guess, right or wrong. Anyone that's listening, this is my opinion. This, of course, I do not have any type of education. Give yourself that time to heal. Walking away from the salon was probably the best thing for me. The way I did it was not right, but I think they gave me some grace with that. And the way I left my clients to hang and dry and just walk out of their life after they've been with me for 30 years. The loyalty that I had felt over the years at Studio M. I knew that I could take this leave of absence. And I knew the girls were going to be there for me. And to me, there's that says it all right there. So, when I first did the leave of absence, it was like, okay, January, give me till the first of the year, then I'll be back. I'll be ready to go. Nope. January came and I probably was just the same. I did, however, find out, which was great news, because I was going to become a grandma at Christmas. So that was very awesome. That definitely helped the Christmas spirit stay alive that year. But January came and I still wasn't any better. And I'm just like, what's going to happen? And I had to come to Jesus on February 2nd, which is Teresa's birthday. Her best friend, cousin Angie, and Maury, and Corey, and I went to Columbus. No, we didn't. We went to Cleveland. And we did everything Teresa would want to do. We went to the casino. We went to the House of Blues where we would always go. We listened to an 80s band. And before I left, I was this close to calling Corey and saying I can't go. Because I had just had one of the biggest panic attacks that I had ever had. And I called my best friend Latanya and I said, I stopped taking my medicine because Brad told me he had noticed a difference, but this is how I am. And she says, so you're telling me the way that I am now, crying hysterically, that's how I am without medicine? So that's the real Megan, right? Then that's the real Megan. And that was really hard to understand that the real Megan, the happy-go-lucky, everybody likes, the life of the party, couldn't even function to go out and party and have fun without medicine. I'm like, what's happening to me? And she calmed me down and she explained that the way your chemicals in your brains work, blah, 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 blah. I had to promise her that I would start taking it again. It's never, ever completely just stopped. And I ended up having a really good time. So glad I went. In the back of my mind, all I kept thinking about was Brad better be doing this at the salon and this at the salon and this at the salon. And I walked in and he has done nothing except go through our finances. And if you listen to our podcast, that was the weekend that he said, we need to talk. And we both agreed that night. We're either doing this, we're either going to make it happen or we're not. And because I was ready to walk away. Not because my love wasn't there, not because my passion wasn't there, not because I didn't have a team, not because I didn't have anyone to care. Because I just didn't know. I had so much in front of me. Like so much work that I couldn't see at the end. I haven't even talked about how my whole entire house, like as anyone's been to my house, it's pretty big and it has lots of storage, was all completely full of crap. To me, it's treasures, but because I was going to make all this money, right? I was going to have one huge house sale, but we can't just have a regular garage sale. We have to set it up like a boutique. So you walked in and you had basically a boutique of Megan's clothes, and you had her scarves and her jewelry, and then you walk in and you have all of my Christmas trees. You guys, it was crazy. And so I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I told Brad, I said, this needs done, and this needs done, and this needs done. Oh yeah, and this stuff I've been telling him for a long time. But it wasn't until then did he realize how serious it was. And I didn't realize then how serious our finances were at the time. I was worried about, hey guys, we're going to get new chairs and we're going to get new stuff and I'm going to make it look pretty and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And Brad's over here saying, we ain't going to do shit until we get our finances. And the girls are like, hey guys, all we need is electric to work. He got to that point where they're like shutting off breakers. It's very embarrassing, but it really is part of the story. So from February 2nd of this year to where we are now, we have completely 100% renovated the whole salon. We are successfully running that spa. So I've learned the slowest times of the years are June and July and August, but that's okay. We hit it strong in the beginning. We took a break for the summer and we're going to hit it again in the fall into the winter, which gave me time to work on my podcast, which is something that I never really talked about because I didn't need the reminder that this is what I wanted to do, because some people will be like, what about that? The day that Morgan and I had that conversation about doing a podcast, I don't know what she thought about it, but for me, I took it home. And then actually podcasting changed my life because I was in a even before Teresa, when I was starting to think about where we're going to go, what we're going to do, all that, I would just throw out different things. And what I realized was I don't have a team of 5 anymore. I have a team of 20. And I also have Courtney. I have her who has her own team who's counting on me. And when I start throwing up, oh, let's do this and let's do that. And they're just like, oh my God, what's going on? I understand that now. Honestly, looking back, geez, what are we doing today? I was going to say entrepreneur, but that's because we're always thinking of the next thing, right? We just have to keep growing and building. And okay, so that was a scroll moment. So I knew that the podcast was something that I wanted to do. And I had already bought all the equipment. Side note, if anybody's out there that wants to start a podcast, I would probably recommend waiting to buy all the equipment. I bought way too much or stuff that I didn't need to. Anyways, I was just so excited. I knew that I wanted to do the podcast. What I wanted it to be about, I didn't really know. I just knew that I've had a lot to say. I have so much inside of me that I want to share and to be able to let people know that I'm okay. And what we went through was really rough. But in time, it's still very raw, right? It's still not even been a year. But in that time, I have been able to figure out, for me, I've been able to come to terms with Teresa's passing because she was leading down a road that would have been she's in a way better place right now. Way better. Selfishly, I miss her so much. She lets me know she's here. She sends me dimes all the time and just gives me stupid signs. And I'm like, okay, Teresa. I'm so glad that I have that. And it gets me through. Michael's doing well. Marcus is engaged. Life goes on. But one thing I think I forgot through all of this is I'm still here. And my friends, they never gave up on me. I thought to myself, oh my God, if they invite me one more time and I have to cancel or do a rain check, like, just stop asking me. It's hard, but I know in my heart that Teresa is pain-free. And she has only left us with very special memories that we will always hold. She touched so many people's lives. And I got to see that at the funeral. You know, the Teresa I know was my sister-in-law and, you know, the stuff that we did, but she was a mentor to so many people. She was, I don't even know, see, I've never been to college, so I don't know college talk, but she was really high up in Tiffin University, and she was a very special person. And back to my brother, he was supposed to be here with me tonight. In fact, I'm actually shocked that he said yes at first. And I told Ashley, I'm like, we need to get him on fast before he changes his mind. And he changed his mind, and that's okay. I guess I was surprised it even said yes to begin with. He's private. I'm not. I'm an overshare. And since he's not here, I'm just going to give him a little shout out because I don't like to tell him in front of his face. His head gets too big. The way Michael took care of Teresa. And he gets mad when I say that. Because he said, why? What do you mean? Like, why would he not? There's a lot of people that would. Being a caregiver is hard. And I only saw it secondhand. Sometimes I had to firsthand. We were a train wreck, Teresa and I. When I had to take care of her, oh my God. The last time was about a month before she passed. We were going home from Atlantic City, and she was my gambling partner. Mike was such a baby. He couldn't just do Burger King like all of us. He needed Chipotle. So we pull in, and Michael, I'm just going to run in real quick. Jesus, I have to pee. And Michael's, okay. I go, I got her. Michael's like, are you sure? And I said, yes, I got her. We're fine. At this time, Teresa's in the walker. So we're walking in. We're fine. We open the door, and they have those stupid rugs. And her wheel got, now she wasn't easy on her feet at that time anyways, but her wheel got stuck on the mat. We both come tumbling down on the ground. It's 2 p.m, right? The whole line is looking, and all I see is Michael over there going. I get up, I'm like, we're good. And Michael's just shakes his head, and Teresa was laughing so hard. So that's the kind of caregiver I am. But in all seriousness, my brother, he's not only been the rock for our family, he's a good guy. Teresa never stopped looking for a cure. I don't know if it's a cure. She always was educating herself about new studies that came out and new things, and Mike would just patiently let her do it. God had other plans, and God has plans for Michael and myself. And I still don't know what it is that God wants me to do that's bigger. But I have to believe it has something to do with the loss that I've had. I clearly am not better, but I think it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. I don't want to be the salon owner that walks in and with the elephant in the room, and clients are scared to say, so how you been? Because they're scared I'm going to cry. Because I'm not going to cry. I have myself together. I promise I do. Teresa's anniversary is coming up. And I just thought, what a great tribute it would be for her to have this aired on her 1-year anniversary. Not to be sad about her, but in honor of her, that we are still keeping her memory alive. She was a big part of Studio One. She was here from the beginning. And as much as she wanted to get her hands on the stuff that I was doing and changing, she couldn't. But her eyes still worked well, and she could definitely give me her opinion and thoughts. Teresa's somebody in my life that I needed, because if anybody knows her, she's very even Q. She helped me a lot through the beginning of hiring and getting started because that was her background. I would always call it an upraise. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, no, calm down. Let's think about this. My life will never be the same. But I'm just so glad that I have the memories of Teresa. And my reasoning on getting on here today is because I'm loving my podcast, okay? I'm just going to say it. I love it. And I started out with, hey, we're going to just talk about some products here. And we're going to be doing some really cool things. I'm so excited. Every episode just gives me more and more ideas. But before we go any further with this, and before I get many more followers, no, I'm just joking. I just wanted to get on and tell you my story because sometimes in the podcast I might say, and then life happened, and then there's this. And that's what I'm talking about because it's still really hard when there's triggers. Like, you think you're okay, everything's fine, and then boom, it's like, whoa, where did that happen? So, if you're dealing with any type of loss or grief, I can definitely not help you because I'm still getting help, but I can tell you're not alone. And the way you're dealing with grief, I'm not here to say that's right or wrong. I'm saying, don't get stuck there. Okay? Because I could still be there right now. And thank God I had Brad to finally realize and listen to what I needed and what I wanted. And he stepped up and we made it happen. And we use that word like, we joke, not joke. That is our slogan. Make it happen. But honestly, everything that I've done, I can now look at the end of the road and see that sign, make it happen. And I'm going to push forward until I do. Because now every one of you knows. And when people know, they almost keep you accountable for it. So I'm not going to set out to fail in front of everyone. And I am not saying that. Okay, now I'm rambling. I wanted to use tonight to tell my story. I thought I was going to have some moral support here and have my brother with me, but that's okay. I think I did better without him. He probably would have talked too much. But I got my friend Ellie here. Ellie and I want you to know that you are invited to come and sit here with me and tell your elephant in the room story. Because it's very therapeutic, I promise. And you know what? We can just do it for fun and we can not even post it. But if you have that elephant in the room story, or if you ever feel like there's an elephant in the room and there's a story that goes behind it, whether it has to do with when you were little or when you it doesn't have to do with anything with the beauty industry, just anyone that would want to come and sit with me and Ellie, we would love to have you.